Hi, my name is Jay Sugarman, and I want to welcome you to Innovation Showcase. The main purpose of this ongoing series is to inform viewers about exciting innovations and creative individuals across the fields of business, science, technology, education, and the arts. Today, we're exploring the extraordinary possibilities hidden within an everyday material most of us simply recycle or throw away, cardboard. Our guest, artist Holly Layman, transforms unpretentious corrugated cardboard into intricate imaginative sculptures that blur the line between craft, design, and fine art. Based in Pennsylvania, Holly creates remarkable works ranging from whimsical creatures and detailed masks to immersive sculptural forms, all built through patience, precision, and an incredible eye for texture and structure. Her art invites us to rethink the materials around us and challenges assumptions about what sculpture can be. During the program, we'll talk about creativity, sustainability, process, and the inspiration behind turning discarded cardboard into compelling works of art that captivate audience of all ages. Let's start by meeting Holly. Welcome, Holly. So delighted to be able to be here.
Hello, thank you for having me.
As you know, a couple of weeks ago, while visiting the Pennsylvania area, I had the good fortune to see some of your work on display. Eager to hear much more about it and have you inform viewers. But before we jump right to that, I think it would be of interest if you'd briefly share perhaps a little bit more about your background, artistic, professional interest, please.
Sure. I think I've been an artist my whole life since I was little, and it has been wonderful and a struggle all at the same time. So when I was little, my parents were both artists in their own right. My father was an architect and a historic home builder, and so he
Hmm.
used his knowledge of building into art. And my mother was a watercolor artist and a sculptor, but not with cardboard, with clay. And um, then I went to school. They supported me going to art school, which is very unusual. Not sure they should have, but they did. And I was happy they did. And I always wanted to do something with art. And it was very difficult to get into the fine art world, which I finally am in at my midlife. Um, but I went through cycles of trying to get into children's book illustration, and finally I landed with web design and graphic design as something that paid the bills. And I was fortunate enough to be able to now, during a later time in my life, start to play a little bit. And so sculpture has always been something I've been good at, but I never pursued it in the fine art realm. And I started working with cardboard, and all of a sudden I found myself, just like they say, when you get successful, all of a sudden it was easy. Like I didn't have to try so hard that I've been doing my whole life. So I'm very happy I'm at this point.
Fabulous. And we'll hear and see some of your work shortly. Speaking of your background, how did your experience creating window installations shape your approach to sculpture?
So when I met my husband almost 20 years ago, he owns a few stores, and his one store in Doylestown, which is where you saw my first piece, my proper chopper bobber, which is a motorcycle. They have beautiful windows, and it really lent itself to a big, impressive display. So I've been doing displays for him out of antiques that were built into faces, and then I worked with metal and all kinds of other things. But I always had cardboard as a secondary element, and I loved using it. And so then finally, I wanted to build cardboard displays for him in his shop windows. And that's what finally led me to that my mother and some people who saw it said, you have to go in art shows. And from that point forward, my husband hasn't had as many window displays, and I've been building mostly for art shows.
No,
So,
and you've had incredible success with numerous art shows. Well, you mentioned the motorcycle, so I think now's a good time. Let's take a look at it and hear about the inspiration, how it came about, and then we can get into maybe how you go about planning a piece like this.
So, one of the things about myself that I've learned through this process is that I love detail and I love doing something that's really difficult and succeeding at it. Sometimes that's a very frustrating process,
Hmm.
but I've always, personally, I don't want to ride a motorcycle because I don't like the dangers of it, but I've always recognized them as a piece of art. So when I see a beautiful motorcycle going down the road or parked in front of a restaurant, I always take a second look because there's so much chrome on them and detail. And the neat thing is that you can see all the mechanical parts. And I also get that from my father because he would work on cars or build buildings, and you would see all the parts that you would build to make the final structure. And so I
Hmm.
really enjoyed that. So when I decided to build something completely out of cardboard, I went for the hardest thing I could possibly think of, and that was a proper chopper bobber. That's actually the name of the motorcycle.
Yeah.
So I went about a mile down the road from my house, and there was a motorcycle shop there. I told them what I was doing, and they sort of were like, yeah, go look around, see, take pictures, measure, whatever you want to do, which was nice of them. They didn't know I was going to return four more times, but I measured, I took pictures, video, I took their pictures and video from online, and I tried to get it as exact as possible. And it is a life size, to scale, proper chopper bobber. Um, and then I just started building it piece by piece. So this piece was interesting because I would build the wheel separate and then build the other wheel, then build the heads, then build the gas tank, and then the handlebars, and then put it all together into one unit, which as we get into my other pieces, my technique was completely different. I actually liked this because I could take each piece, make it exactly as accurate as I wanted to, and then put it together. As I was making this piece, I was finding this is a very delicate piece, unfortunately, because of the way that the rake in the front of the motorcycle is,
Mm.
where the front comes from the main body. So I had to support it. So internally, there is no support other than cardboard. But I
Mm.
found for the spokes and for the kickstand, I wanted to go with wood because if I had gone with rolling cardboard for the spokes or some kind of kickstand without any kind of really sturdy support, it was going to sink. So when I did that, I was kind of dismayed. I thought, oh, it's not all cardboard. So then I made it my thing to have one thing in every single piece hidden that was not cardboard. In this particular case, there are two things because the headlights are thumbtacks.
Ah.
So the headlight is clear thumbtacks. The two yellow lights on the front that you're seeing in the picture now are thumbtacks. And in the rear, there's red thumbtacks for the tail lights. And so I've really carried that through, and it makes me different than there's not a lot of us cardboard artists out there, but it did differentiate some of my stuff from other cardboard artists as well.
No,
And I should
fabulous.
note, yeah, I should note that the motorcycle, even being full size, weighs about 15 pounds. So
That's
you can
great.
carry it with one hand.
Well, it really does stand out, whether it's a window display or in view at an art show. It definitely captivates anybody who has the chance to encounter it. You know, we have several of the pieces we want to share that highlight the development of your career. So I want to move on to this other fascinating one that you title Red Cloud, who was a Indian Ogalla Lakota chief back in the day. A few words about the inspiration for Red Cloud, please.
Sure. So I'm not sure how the ideas get in my head, but I have a line of probably about 10 ideas that need to come out. And since each piece takes about 6 months, of
Mm.
40-hour weeks to complete, with the
Wow.
exception of the dog in front of me. Um, it's I have to figure out how many pieces I can make in the rest of my lifetime at this point, because we're building up. But I was so inspired by Red Cloud's history and what he contributed to his own people that I felt that I wanted to memorialize him. That was part of it. The other
Hmm.
part was in my own thought process. I could see this amazing piece of art with feathers and all the texture. I'm really big about texture. So, all the textures in him, it really inspired me to want to do this really large monument to him. It's 76 inches high.
Wow.
The cardboard that's colored, it's very important to me that everyone knows that it's not painted.
Yeah.
So it's like against my whole entire process. I don't want to paint anything. In this piece, though, the one hidden element that is not cardboard would be his ping pong ball eyes. And those
Mm.
are painted. Um, the rest, the face is cardboard completely, and the structure inside that supports it is entirely cardboard. So, for example, the red on him, that's Nike boxes. The light
Mm.
blue is Columbia shoe boxes. The dark blue is Chewy boxes, and the medium blue is Walmart boxes, which they did change their design halfway through this project, and
Ah.
that was very stressful, but I did find it. Um, and all the other colors are from different types of boxes. And so I put it all together. And the base itself is all monochromatic corrugated cardboard with the eagles on the side. On the front, in Lakota, it says, "We are all related." And to me, that was very important. So he lived from 1822 to 1909. And in his lifetime, he brought together different tribes in the Midwest to defeat the US Army on US soil to defend themselves to try to keep their land. And then
Mm.
after that happened, he had the ability to become a peacemaker and go to Washington, go to New York, and sign peace treaties. It's unfortunate we know what happens after that, but for a short time, he was successful in protecting the land. So I wanted to represent him, his his clothing that he's wearing. I worked with a museum out in the Midwest that sent me pictures of his that particular garb that he was wearing. His headdress is uh, as exact as I could get it to the actual headdress that he wore. All the symbolism on the base is Lakota symbolism, and
Mm.
I made sure it was from his time period, because it's kind of hard when you look online, you start to get into some modern things, and I wanted it to really be in his time period. So he's been in a few shows. He wasn't as popular as the motorcycle. I think when people see this piece in person, it's way more impressive than in pictures, where the motorcycle sort of translates in both. So I'm hoping that he'll get into some of the 250th anniversary shows,
Mm.
even though it was it's part of our history. Some people might not like that part of our history, but it is part of the 250 years that we're representing.
Most definitely, most definitely. No, a fascinating piece. I know there's much more to hear about, but for the sake of time, want to move on to this other very next one, very engaging, very playful in a way, an Ozzy Osbourne tribute chair. How did this come about?
So I have an 11-year-old son, and part of this whole journey has been about teaching him how to make things with your hands. It's something in the digital age that I think this generation doesn't get enough of. We are very fortunate that our son, we've been bringing our son up since he was born to understand that, and he is very hands-on, um, non-digital as much as you can be in today's day and age. So he helped me build this. This was a competition. This was
Mm.
not a piece that I used for fine art, but it was very important to me. He wanted to go in this competition as a duo, and we were assigned a piece of furniture for a famous person. And we
Ah,
ended up coming in second place. And so we were just very proud of this piece. And our cat Theo, of course, loved it. Um, he sits on it all the time. So
terrific
that
model.
piece was just a quick piece we put together, but it was very important because it helped him just to feel that amazing feeling when you make something and people appreciate it.
What was the non-cardboard element in this piece?
On this one, it is two buttons for eyes right there where you're seeing the red. Those were buttons like you sew on a shirt.
Nice, nice. And there's a nice up close view there.
And it was perfect timing because we particularly like Ozzy Osbourne's music, and it was sort of a tribute in the year that he passed away. So
Hmm. Very appropriate. This next one, the pony that you created happens to be hanging out right behind you.
yes.
Can you share a little bit about how this came about, some of the planning, some of the challenges, maybe?
So this one, we have horses. I rode all my life. I was a professional rider for a while. So it was something that I was really interested in. And I wanted to, the challenge here was to create a life-size pony. For those that know horses, she's 13 3 hands.
Ah,
And the hidden element is the ping pong ball eyes, both in the pony and this picture you're looking at is not completed. But behind me and in some other pictures, we'll see the rider who is my son when he was
ah,
younger. So this is called Show Day. And the challenge was for me, if someone does an animal, particularly a horse, because I've had so much time with them, either make it completely not anatomically correct, whimsical, or very anatomically correct. Don't get it in the middle where you went
mm,
for being correct and missed the mark. So for me, this was about getting a very anatomically correct pony and rider with the appropriate saddle and saddle, everything you would need for an English riding show day. And so that was my challenge. I think the hardest part, the pony was very labor intensive because the entire inside of the pony is built like an egg crate with cardboard.
mm, mm.
And so the structure is strong. Again, this piece is full size and it weighs probably about 20 pounds. And the the fur was the thing that I was most inspired. Again, the difference of texture. And so that was part of it. The rider ended up being the most challenging part of the whole thing.
Mm,
Not
mm.
necessarily the anatomy, but the where Red Cloud was a very, very old man in what I represented, and the cardboard led to the crackled face, the wrinkles, and things like that. We're talking about an 8-year-old boy here. So I was having a lot of frustration trying to figure out how to have a youthful cardboard face in the technique that I used. I finally, after maybe 4 or 5 layers, figured it out.
Oh, it seems very natural. What do you hope people take away after experiencing your work?
So I hope that they, one, are very much excited about the subject matter and mostly what it's made out of. Because a lot of people, when they walk up to the motorcycle in particular, think it's wood at first. And they also think it was made by a man, which is a compliment in my mind.
Oh,
So with the pony, it has not been to any show. It just was completed. It's been entered in a few shows. We'll see what happens. But I'm hoping that people walk up to it and it's a whimsical enough piece that people are just in awe that it's out of cardboard. and that it
Yeah.
only weighs as much as it does. And I hope that people realize that. And I do have a group of people that I have them recycle their cardboard with me, especially shoe boxes and things that are hard to find. And they are dedicated now. They used to just put it in their recycling, and now I have a barn full of cardboard because they just keep giving it to me all the time. And I'm very particular about my cardboard. It has to be matte, it can't be shiny, it has to be
Mm.
clean, no dampness. And so people are very excited to recycle and to have it incorporated into art. And the other thing that's interesting is that children love my work, whether it's Red Cloud or obviously the corgi, the dog sitting next to me. It's very easy to love. They're fascinated by it, and they can make stuff out of cardboard. My dad sat me down when I was a kid with a wood and hammer and nails, and I wanted to build stuff out of it. It's very difficult if you're not, skilled in it. Where cardboard, you could technically cut with a pair of scissors that a child can hold and
Hmm.
make something out of it in an afternoon. It might not look like what you're seeing here, but it's a start. And some kids that are not that creative can really start generating some actual tangible things out of cardboard. And I think that's what a lot of people get out of it.
No, it reminds me of a young boy about, it's maybe now like 15, almost 20 years ago in the California area, created this whole amusement park for himself and others. It went viral at the time just through cardboard. So very appealing to children indeed. In the time remaining, we're fortunate to have this image as well as Oliver nearby you, the Pembroke Welsh Corgi. Um, please, a few words about Oliver.
Sure. So I have a corgi named Oliver, a real one. And I have had corgis all my life, and they're wonderful little dogs. But the real reason I did this is because the texture, the hair is just texture. And starting in the face, it's very smooth, short hair, and it gets into this long hair around the neck area, and then into this shorter hair as it gets towards his rear. And I just enjoyed making this piece. This was so much less time than my other pieces. It probably took me a month
Mm.
of 40-hour weeks as opposed to 6 months. And so it was a lot more rewarding quickly. And again, it was anatomy that was important to me. This guy became slightly fatter than the real Oliver, but that's because of all the hair. And again, nothing's painted. The ball is Hello Fresh boxes,
Ah,
and eyes are carved cardboard. So it was black cardboard that I carved the eyes out of. And the hidden element, which is not so hidden, is the leather nose
aha.
to finish it off. So let's
Viewers often want to touch your sculptures. What does that response tell you?
they're excited and they don't believe that it's cardboard. And a lot of people think it's painted, and I correct them. I don't mind a little bit of like, oh, let's touch the ball and see if it's really cardboard. Sometimes with the motorcycle, it's a little nerve-wracking when people try to roll it across the floor. People that know better too, but it has been amazing to see the reaction. And there have been cardboard artists before, and there will be after me, but we are kind of far and few between. As far as sustainability, I do know there are some artists that have been doing this for 30 years, and their artwork is
Mm.
still in museums today in the same shape they were when they were finished. And I use the same process, same glues, sometimes I paint a clear coat on there in case someone did spill wine or touch it with dirty fingers. It should wipe off. I don't want to test it, but so I feel when people ask me that question, I feel very confident that because I'm using the same process, and that's just by chance, but I am using the same process, that they will hold up for the test of time.
You mentioned some of the juried shows. How has your success in those shows shaped your confidence as an artist?
Well, starting with the motorcycle, I was on cloud nine all the time. It didn't not get into a show. It won first place every time.
Yeah.
And so my fear was I'm on top of the world. There's only one place to go. So now I have success and not success, but still for an artist, especially even though I'm not just starting out as an artist, but I'm just starting out as a cardboard artist, it's been amazing. We're going out to Oliver here is getting shipped out to Idaho tomorrow, and we're going to go out there to a big show out there. And yeah, and the pony is going to a couple shows, so we're going to enjoy it and hope that I can have some success with them as well.
At this stage, is your goal more about environmental awareness, artistic expression, or some combination there?
I think it's everything. I think it's definitely awareness of recycling. I am really a big proponent of how do we get from here to having a better environment, doing things just individually that help. It's going to take a lot, but if we start small with something like this, then maybe we can build ourselves up to something big. Um, Also, I think for me, having an 11-year-old in this digital world that I don't like. I mean, I love it. Like we're talking, we were able to communicate. That's wonderful. But when it goes just like anything else, too much is not good. And
Mhm.
so I feel that I have touched a lot of children's, like get them inspired to do things, whether they followed through on that or not. I think that that's a good thing. And for my own son, I want him to see what can be done with just doing this. And so I think it's that. And of course, I'm a shy speaker, but I like to stand back and watch somebody talk about my piece. If I could be a wallflower, that would be what I'd like. And then I'll come in and talk a little, maybe correct them on the painting or whatever. And then I want to go back and hear what they're saying. So that would be it's definitely about the artistic expression, but I'm embarrassed sometimes to stand there and be praised. I think that's
Well,
hard
you
for me sometimes.
Well, you're very articulate, and it's been fascinating to hear your development and growth. In closing, in about a minute or so left, what new ideas or challenges are you excited to explore next?
I think for me, the challenge with the rider, having a youthful person, I'm going to do Lucille Ball. I'm going to do
Ah, fabulous.
Yeah, because she had such great expressions. So one of the things here with Oliver, I captured his expression. But behind me, I feel like there wasn't a lot of expression to catch because it's the moment where you're just patting the horse after you're done. But I wanted to do something very expressive, very fun. And who's more fun than Lucy? So I want to do 4 different busts of her in different of her famous crazy faces, but she's beautiful. So I have to find that balance between beauty and silliness, just like she did. So that's a big challenge. And then I want to do more dogs that have like an Irish wolfhound with that texture. So I think it's just finding texture and um, trying to make that exciting for people to want to touch, to want to understand.
Wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
definitely look forward to those ventures for sure. And in the closing credits, we'll have website and contact information for viewers and others to follow along or perhaps get in touch. But unfortunately, Holly, we've come to the end of the program. Again, thank you very much for taking the time to share your captivating work, and just want to end by wishing you continued success with future endeavors.
Thank you so much. And I hope to be up in your area soon with some more pieces. We'll
Look
get to meet in
forward to it.
person.
Fabulous. Also want to thank those of you watching for joining us and hope you'll be able to tune in next time.